What's up, everybody? I'm the Disc Golf Nerd, and these are my top 5 tips for beginners. Number 5, throw your putter. Learn how to throw putters. They're very accurate, they're very controllable, and they're much easier to throw straight on the line that you want when you're first starting out. You'll notice as a beginner that a driver wants to go left on you over and over again. If you're throwing it right hand, backhand, it wants to go left. A putter is much easier to get it to fly on that nice straight line start to finish. It will also show you what you're doing with your form, where a faster disc might mask some of those issues. So if you're throwing a putter and it's coming out of your hand and it's fluttering down the fairway, not going where you want it to go, that's a good indication that there's a problem with your throw. Most likely you're not reaching back and pulling through on the same angle. So a putter will show you what you're doing. If you can throw a putter nice and straight, you can get it to hold a soft hyzer, you can get it to hold a little bit of an anhyzer as a beginner. You know you're on the right path, and then you can start moving your way up through the different types of discs to mid-ranges, to fairways, and then eventually to distance drivers. But when you're a beginner, putters are your best bet. Stick with a putter for your first few rounds, in my opinion, and you will have a much better time learning how to throw the disc and control it on the angles that you want. Number 4, slow down. I see so many different beginners and newer players that really try to run up fast into the shot, and they really try to rip it as hard as they can and muscle it, and they're just trying a little bit too hard to be a little bit overly exaggerated with their speed. Running up really fast and then throwing is not necessarily going to create more spin on the disc or more distance for your shot. A lot of the times if you have a nice smooth run up and you just throw a nice smooth shot, you'll have a better shot that way. It'll be more accurate, and you'll oftentimes get more distance as well. So slow down your run up, slow down your form, and just concentrate on that acceleration right at the last second rather than all the way building up into your throw. Number 3, similar to number 4, don't try so hard. A lot of players that when they're just starting out, and even experienced players, they really try to muscle it, they tense up, and they're really trying to rip it as hard as they can, and you're not going to yield very positive results in that manner. If you see anybody who's good at almost any sport, they make it look effortless. Even musicians, they're playing a complicated piece of music, they make it look easy. That's because it is easy for them. They're not putting a ton of effort into it. They just learned how to do it properly, and then they're executing that. A golfer doesn't need to try to swing the club as hard as they possibly can. They just hit their form, connect with the ball, and it's down the fairway. Same thing with disc golf. You just want to throw a nice smooth shot and know that your form is solid, and you're going to be fine. You don't have to muscle it and tighten up and really over exaggerate and try too hard. It's oftentimes not going to work out well for you. For me, if I try to like hulk up and throw a shot as hard as I can, I will often have very inaccurate results. So it's always better, in my opinion, to just slow down, don't try so hard, and throw a nice smooth shot and let the form do the work, let the disc do the work, rather than really trying to muscle it and power it and get it to do kind of bend to your will. That's not really how it works. Focus on your form, throwing on the nice angle that you want with the correct disc, and you'll have good results. Number 2, stick with slower discs. If you're a brand new beginner, I suggest putters, maybe a mid-range. As you're getting a little bit more advanced, you can step it up into some drivers, but I would stay away from anything 12, 13, 14 speed for quite some time. You really want to know what you're doing with your throw before you get into those speed ranges. Now, there's going to be certain shots that those might be effective for, even at your level, but at the same time, I still think you're better off sticking with slower discs, putters, mid-ranges, and drivers up to maybe a speed 9 or 10 max when you're a newer player. Something like an Escape or a Fury or a little bit slower driver that's got some understability to it is a great driver to throw as a beginner or as a newer player. You really don't need to be looking into things that are 13, 14 speed until you can throw them with enough speed to see the benefits of that increased speed range that those discs have. If you can't throw it fast enough, it's not going to behave the way it's supposed to, and you're really not going to see the benefits of it anyway. So you're better off working with slower discs until you learn what you're doing and understand what you're trying to do, and then you can move it up to those faster discs when you have more experience and you can actually get benefits from using those faster discs. And finally, lay up. Now, this is not a super fun tip to give you guys, but if you want to play well and shoot well against amateur fields at tournaments, maybe in the rec division, or if you're playing against your buddies who aren't very good, you'll probably beat them more times than not by just laying up anything longer than maybe 30 feet. Just put it up next to the basket. A lot of times strokes are wasted by going for shots when you're not likely to get them to go in. Obviously it's fun, and if you're playing a casual round, go for it. But if you're trying to post the best score you can. As a newer player, oftentimes, as a beginner, if you're unlikely to make the putt, it's always a pretty good idea to just put it next to the basket, tap in and move on from there, rather than go for it and then have another putt coming back, because those 3 putts, 4 putts, those are the things that are really going to mess up your score and make you kind of dejected out there on the course. If you have a birdie look from inside 30, 35 feet, or if you have kind of a wide open look, maybe there's a little hill behind it and you can run it and you're not going to go far past it, that's totally fine. But especially if it's like downhill, there's danger behind the basket, or if you're really far out and it's a very low percentage that you're going to make it, you're probably better off just pitching it up next to the pole, drop it in, move on to the next hole. You'll save strokes that way. And if your friends are going for everything and they're 2, 3, 4 putting on holes, you'll probably beat them. Those are my top 5 tips for beginners. Thanks so much for watching. I'll check you later. Cheers. Thank you so much for watching, and big thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. If you would like to see your name listed in the credits of all of my videos, go to patreon.com/discgolfnerd.